Deborah Birx. Let's talk about Dr. Deborah Birx, who was brought into the Orange Bastard's orbit to help fight the pandemic. She had a sterling reputation as a former U.S. Army physician, a globally recognized AIDS researcher, and a real rarity, a holdover into the Trump administration from the Obama administration. But she has destroyed her credibility, destroyed it. According to the Associated Press, it's been 10 months since Birx accepted the role with the Orange Bastard. And her reputation is, to use the gentle word that the AP uses, her reputation is frayed. And after serving every president since Reagan, that's how long Birx has been in government, 40 plus years, her future in the incoming Biden administration, I wouldn't count on it, Dr. Birx. And why is that? Well, if you remember, over the course of this pandemic, she's gotten a lot of criticism from public health experts, from random podcast maniacs like me, from Democratic lawmakers, for not speaking out forcefully against the bullshit that the Orange Bastard put out there daily when he contradicted advice from medical advisors and scientists and people 1,000.17 million times brighter than he was on how to fight the virus. Oh no, I know all the good words. I know more than the generals and the doctors and the scientists, and I know more than Jesus H. Christ. I'm Donald J. Trump. And Dr. Birx, on everything from Trump's decision not to set an example by wearing a simple goddamn mask, to his suggestion that ingesting bleach might do the trick. Critics and backers of Dr. Birx, they say that she was very cautious to try to maintain, her position in hopes of pushing the Orange Bastard to listen to scientists. Really, Dr. Birx, or were you there to protect your own professional standing? What? You were going to change Trump? Michael Weinstein heads the AIDS Healthcare Foundation and got to know Dr. Birx professionally after she was named by Obama to be the global AIDS coordinator back in 2014. And Weinstein said, quote, "The president's departure from reality." I love that. The president's departure from reality became so extreme, he went on, that it put her, Dr. Birx, and others on the task force in an untenable position, end quote. He went on to say, quote, "History will have to judge whether they enabled the president by giving him credibility based on their expertise, or whether she and the others did more in helping prevent more people from being hurt by the craziness," end quote. It's the former. Dr. Birx enabled this crazy son of a bitch. Every time she showed up on a podium with him, while he's talking about injecting bleach or using ultraviolet light on your hair or something, and Birx just stood there with her face hanging out. With the perfect opportunity, then or later, to say her version of, this guy's full of shit, and he's so full of shit, I'm out of here. I can't deal with this kind of insanity, ignorance, stupidity, and ego. Adios. I said her version of that. But now, well, that was then. This is now. Dr. Birx is now making clear that, she wants to stick around to help Joe Biden roll out the vaccines and persuade the American people to be inoculated. Would you listen to Dr. Birx at this point? I mean, seriously, if you had a question in your mind, and a lot of people will. Nobody listens to this podcast, but a lot of people, oh, should I get it? Oh, I don't know. Maybe not. Oh, God. Well, it's a vaccine. What if it makes my teeth fall out? No. If I have any more children, they'll be born with one eye. That's what'll happen. And that eye will be blind. I know, because vaccines are terrible. Yeah, good luck with that. Anybody who has that job. But Birx wants to stick around to persuade the American people to be inoculated? After she sat there silent? While Trump leaned away from the podium to where she was sitting at the side and looking for affirmation that it might be a good idea to inject goddamn bleach into your veins? No. So according to the unending supply of anonymous sources, Dr. Birx has reached out to Biden advisors in recent days because she's trying to make a case that she has a role or could have a role in the incoming Biden administration's response to this virus. And according to the Associated Press, Dr. Birx has conveyed that at the very best, she envisions herself in a scaled back role as Biden shapes his own team. Yeah, scaled back to what, Dr. Birx? I mean, what would you like to do? Maybe you could file the papers when the doctors who have courage, who have the ability to talk straight to the next president of the United States, maybe you could file their papers when they're done researching them, put them back in the files. That'll give you a job. You can maintain your civil service status and until it's time to retire. Would that work for you, Dr. Birx? That's about what you're qualified for after what you have done and agreed to do and were silent about for the past 10 months? Biden has already appointed transition co-chair and Obama administration alumnus Jeffrey Zients to serve as White House coronavirus coordinator. So, I'm sorry, that job's been filled, Dr. Birx, but the filing job, that might be available. You see, to the people assisting in the transition, and God knows they're just hitting brick wall after brick wall thanks to this orange son of a bitch in the White House. But the people in Biden's transition team are, let's say, skeptical of putting Birx to work for them because she refused to publicly challenge Trump when he downplayed the virus and people were dying and people were getting sick and millions of Americans were coming down with this COVID-19, and Trump was out there spewing his bullshit, and Birx was out there by his side with that blank look on her face saying nothing. You think she retains any credibility with the public, truth seeker? Well, not with this little tiny piece of the public. Moi, no way in hell. Now, she spoke Tuesday at a Wall Street Journal CEO conference. Oh, cool. And she said she planned to remain in government. Yes, sir. Because, she's been in government for 40 years in one form or another. So she's going to remain in government, but she hasn't heard from the Biden transition team yet about how or if they have any use for her on the pandemic battle. God. And the terrible part of this, to me, part of it, is that her mentor, Dr. Fauci, Anthony Fauci, she worked alongside him. During this whole miserable thing. And Fauci, you could find fault perhaps with him too. To about 1/10 of 1% of a degree of the amount of fault that Dr. Birx maintains. Fauci finally just said, fuck it, in his way of saying fuck it. I don't know how he says that, but just backed away from it. There was no reason for Dr. Fauci to be there anymore. And he was a lot less hesitant to directly contradict the orange bastard with some of the statements that came out of his mouth. She said that she's qualified because, and this is what she said at the Wall Street Journal conference the other day, she said, quote, I think the one thing I bring to this is really understanding epidemics around the globe, end quote. Maybe you do. Maybe you do, but you do not have the ability or the courage or the spine or the dedication to medicine or to science, Dr. Birx, to speak truth to a miserable, rotten, grifting son of a bitch named Donald Trump. If you didn't have the courage, if that's what it takes, or the integrity, or the self-respect to speak up when this son of a bitch was telling things to the American public that was going to cost them their lives, and you want to be a public figure in this pandemic battle going forward? Are you crazy? Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcasts. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.